Okay, so begins a small event. This ain't gonna take but 30, 45 minutes, an hour max. I'm about to put it in and then I'm out. So the other day I was listening to a sports analyst segment, and what was awkward about it was I had heard a man say something that I've heard a bunch of times in my life, but it really resonates to what has happened with the this immigration situation. And they were talking about trades and this, that, and the other. And the individual must have said, "I'd rather measure twice and cut once." And the man that was sitting next to him, excuse that, these guys are messing with this fire system in this building. They've been doing it all day. Anyway, the man that's sitting next to this gentleman says to him, "What do you mean?" He says, "Like that, measure twice, cut once." And so, and it was funny because I'm like, it's been years since I've heard that. And I'm like, man, I got to do something with that. And it just so happens, I'm going to go to MSN real quick. And it just so happens that there's this article I want to show you. Oh, that's crazy. That is a crazy little article. I might have to check that out later myself. It says, prosecutor says Epstein paid $350,000 to tamper with witnesses. You feel me? Who knows if that was some old shit or shit that's going on now, but I'm not really worried about it. I'm trying to find the young immigrants getting ready for these raids. And what I thought was amazing was most people didn't take the like I said the first time when it all happened, when he was, he was threatening folks or whatever about how he was going to take action about 3 weeks ago, and he kind of backed off of it or whatever. Uh, one moment. One moment. Let's see. There we go. This isn't the same one, but this article serves just the same purpose. And this all has to do with, once again, making sure that you do it right the first time. Because what they're going through is trying to figure out, all right, trying to figure out if this is worth all the trouble. One second. All that bullshit out of there. Okay, so, oh my goodness, that itching. One second. So, state of alarm. Major cities prepare for ice raids. More family separations. Now, I want to say two things. Do you guys remember all those videos you probably watched? Like, I know I used to watch about like how they were emptying out Walmarts and emptying out all these places, and they were talking about these are going to be where they take people for the doomsday. Well, what seems more feasible and much more likely is that those same big, large facilities that they emptied out are actually more than likely going to be used to house people when they do mass detentions. I'm just throwing it out there. Secondly, take keen note to how, once again, they measured twice. Okay, they figured how many people do you really think you're going to round up. They emptied out all these little businesses. All this stuff is a complicated scheme. These businesses and the government are all in on it. um, what's even more crazy is the fact that I really want to say they scared all the people into doing this, that, and the other, States like New York screwed people over, saying, and all these other places, like, like we'll make it to where a person who's not a citizen can vote and can get a license and do all these things. Like, if it draws, whatever draws you out, you see what I'm saying? So if you not going to work is a red flag. If you're already on the watch list for a potential person who may or may not be uh, in the country on I guess you could say legitimate merit, however you want to put it, right? But you're here illegally. You feel me? Whatever actions you committed to or didn't do was all the red flags that they did. So really, they measure twice when they just allow people to start not showing up to work. Noticing certain folks are buying groceries or stocking up on things like when there's no real emergency or nothing like that, and maybe this is somebody who, once again, is going to a place where they're already being surveilled. You can't really know. But let's just go ahead and read this. The AP domestic House leaders clash over looming immigration raids. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Republican leader Kevin McCarthy clashed Thursday over a planned nationwide immigration enforcement operation expected to begin this weekend, targeting people who are in the United States illegally. Denver. Fear and anxiety spread throughout immigrant communities nationwide over anticipated federal raids aimed at detaining and deporting thousands of people accused of remaining illegally within the United States. Immigration reform advocates said that communities around Atlanta, Baltimore, Chicago, Denver, Houston, LA, Miami, New York, and San Francisco were being targeted by raids expected to start Sunday and last through at least Thursday. It's almost like getting ready for a hurricane. It's the state of alarm that people are feeling. And said Melissa Taveras of Miami-based Florida Immigration Coalition. People are asking, is it okay for us to go to work? Is it okay to take our kids to school? The raids are different from routine immigration and custom enforcement detentions, and advocates for immigration communities say the raids appear designed to sow terror and discord among the approximately 2,000 families expected to be targeted, especially in light of news reports of some detainees dying in custody. Now, stop right there. Y'all do realize the 2,000 families, that's nothing. The ultimate objective of this is to actually accrue much collateral damage. So sure, they're after people who are here illegally from, let's say, south of the border, right? But if they snatch up Russians and Africans and any other kind of Asian people who might be here, I mean, it's really a broad operation. It's super duper. It's way bigger than this. Once again, that wall is to keep you in, not to keep. You know what I'm saying? It's to keep you in. You know what I'm saying? Not to keep them out. It terrorizes the community, said Millie Atkinson, legal director of the San Francisco Immigration Legal Defense Collaborative in San Francisco. It's really going to impact our community to see that happen, because any detention, they're separating the men and the women and the children. The Trump administration argues the nation's immigration laws have long been ignored, and that tougher enforcement is necessary because Congress has failed to pass comprehensive immigration reform. Democrats must change the loophole in asylum laws, but they probably won't, Trump tweeted Saturday. They want open borders, which means massive crime and drugs. In Denver, Mayor Michael Hancock said city police officers would avoid helping ICE agents, but said human service workers were on alert to assist any minor children left behind if their parents are arrested. In many cases, immigrants who lack legal permission to remain in the United States have minor children who are U.S. citizens. That puts officials in liberal cities like Denver or San Francisco in tough positions of opposing the ICE raids themselves, but still having to manage the consequences. Now, stop right there. See, these people who came here had these anchor babies, as folks like to call them, right? And now, right, your anchor baby ain't going to get kicked out, but you are. You follow what I'm saying? So where are these kids going to go? Right, we get swallowed up into the system. Now, is this all by design? Who knows? But if If it wasn't by design and this just all came up by cruel happenstance of events, man, that's just one hell of a coincidence. However, I'm gonna keep it pushing. We're not going to put children in cages or leave them in inhumane conditions, Hancock said during a call with reporters on Friday morning. Our job is to help those families as best we can. Immigrant advocates say many of the people expected to be targeted in the raids have been issued a final order of removal, but never were told when or where that previous hearing was taking place, and thus never attended. In Houston, a city of 1.6 million immigrants and more than 500,000 undocumented immigrants, the phone at File Houston, an immigration rights group, has been ringing nonstop, and 5 forums the group organized since the raids announcement have been standing room only, said Cesar Espinoza, FIL's executive director. Now, let me just tell you something. Look at this. They're saying a third of the people who are immigrants in Houston alone, 1/3 of them at least, are undocumented. I need y'all to understand how many people are. Do y'all understand now when they was talking about the whole Walmarts and all these big stores, all these Costco's, all these large warehouse type places being shut down, you know, their parking lots and all that stuff, because you have to have space in order to put people in those kinds of places. And now, once again, they could hold back on the raids and pussyfoot around, but this shit's coming. Just like they're building the wall, this shit is gonna happen. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. And you don't think there's gonna be people who get deported who are like, I'm not a bad immigrant. You should have snatched up so and so blase blase who live right next door to me. This shit is gonna be so vicious. Anyway. FAIL created a rapid response network. Excuse me, let me go to this last part right here. There's a lot of tension in the community right now. FAIL created a rapid response network, enlisting around 80 community members throughout the city who will alert the group if and when a raid is happening. The goal is to get to the scene of the raid as it's happening, document the procedure, and advise the targeted immigrants of their rights. Espinoza said one of their biggest concerns is that undocumented immigrants who are not the targets of the raid get swept up in the operations, he said. We hope nothing happens, Espinoza said, but if something does happen, we're preparing our community to be ready to react. Listen, there's nothing they can do. I already told y'all, the collateral damage is the intended mission of all of this, okay? Because if they're around and they're like, I want to see your ID, you know what I'm saying? Your documentation. Like let's just say, for example, one of your neighbors gets raided, right? And then they come out there and they say, you know what? I want to see your identification. I want to see your documentation. To you, all you need to do is show them your state ID. A lot of these cats don't have no ID, don't have nothing. Okay, or they have an ID with somebody else's. It's like the date of birth is crazy and messed up. And anyway, but a lot of them are rolling around without no papers at all. There's nothing that they can show to prove that they're an actual resident and a true citizen of the United States. You know, this is why having your birth certificate and things like that are crucial. Man, they're crucial. Anyway. Elsewhere, advocates were preparing flyers and staffing hotlines to alert immigrant communities of their rights, including requiring a judicial warrant to enter a private home. Advocates said ICE agents working routine removal cases usually stake out their targets' homes and wait for them to leave for work, and that Sunday operations would be highly unusual. Stop right here. Stop right here. Need y'all to understand. The little Mexican dude who killed that cop about a week and a half ago, the young lady. This is when Trump first canceled the raids, okay? Because the female cop got blasted by the dude who barricaded himself up. Now, what they've done is they've made a list of which immigrants are potential to respond with and end violence. You guys have to realize, if any of them respond like that, it's going to give ICE the exclusive right to kick in doors and shit. Like, they're not going to need, man, anyway. This shit works for them either way. The whole process for them is truly like a form of Hegelian dialect. At the filthiest, I mean, this is super duper Hegelian dialect, because either way they win. We either swoop up a bunch of people who are unintended in the first place. If any of these people react in a way of violence, then we get to go hard on them anyway. It doesn't matter. See what I'm saying? Oh my goodness. Then you get to start to try to question the constitutionality of being born here, and if you actually being born on U.S. soil makes you an American citizen or not. Man, this shit is so deep. But anyway, I'm trying to tell y'all, they have measured twice, and they're gonna cut once. So that's why you haven't seen them do anything, because they'll measure 10 times before they cut one time on this. Because when they do it, they want it to go right. I want it to go right, because the closer we get to the so-called end, the better. However, let's keep it pushing. Sometimes with this administration, there's so many attacks that undocumented immigrants feel like there's no recourse, said Shannon Camacho of the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles. Don't open your door. Remain silent. They don't have to offer any information to ICE, and ICE can't enter their homes unless they have a judicial warrant signed by a judge. The vast majority of the time, they don't have those warrants. In New York, the New Sanctuary Coalition New York branch and the New York Immigration Coalition planned a rally for Friday against both the southern border detention camps and the expected ICE raids. While maybe and I want y'all to understand, all these, they still haven't cured this motherfucking mumps outbreak that they got in this facility. And man, this shit is so out of pocket, so out of hand. Talking about they're trying to create a epidemic. I don't know, but it's a cocktail situation. Like, and they're sparking flint rocks together around highly flammable liquid, and it's like one of these sparks hits this liquid, it's over. Here we go. While maybe the scale of what ICE will be doing this weekend will be more than they actually do at any one time, the reality is that immigrant communities have been living under this kind of fear for the last 2.5 years. So they're saying that since Trump has been president, it's been a fear for them. Now, realistically, that's not true. Realistically, this last month, shit done got real for them. But the more undocumented immigrants who commit crimes in the U.S., no matter how isolated the event may be, that's fuel for the fire for them to say that these people are violent people and they're only coming here to exploit the American people's kind nature, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, let me go ahead and keep it pushing. The coalition, representing more than 200 member organizations across the New York State, has joined the local organization in constant Know Your Rights training classes for immigrant communities and other instructional services. It's not just the raids that people need to know their rights, said Joshi. For the last 2.5 years, ICE has been indiscriminately going in and targeting people. Bida Mostafi, commissioner of the New York City Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, condemned the anticipated raids during a Friday morning interview with NY1, the city's 24-hour cable news or 24-hour cable news channel. And in quotes, "You have to call it what it is and say clearly that this is deplorable and cruel." Whatever, said Mostafi. You are talking about instilling fear and chilling people who, in some cases, have been here for decades, and others who have been U.S. and who have U.S. citizen families and children. It is a moment and time for us, certainly as a city and community members, to ensure we are empowering our communities, making sure you know you have rights regardless of your immigration status, and that you can access free and safe legal support that city has funded. Many large U.S. cities, including Los Angeles, Denver, Seattle, Miami, have declared themselves sanctuaries for undocumented immigrants. and adopted policies barring local government workers from cooperating with federal immigration authorities. Funniest thing is, though, is that the other day, ICE in Seattle got a hold of a whole bunch of immigrants' information. Just FYI. Go ahead and pick it back up. Federal raids risk severing the carefully built bonds between the local police and immigrant communities. Give a fuck about their bonds, nigga. Fuck them and their bonds. Hancock says, making it less likely that undocumented immigrants would ask for help or testify in court against violent criminals. No one wants to call the police or call local officials if they know that all of their information is going to be shared with federal agents, said Armando Carmona, a spokesman for the Central American Resource Center and other Los Angeles area Latinx advocacy organization. Many households where undocumented folks live are mixed status, so it's a lot more nuanced than undocumented folks. Listen, what he's trying to say is that there's people who are undocumented, who have families who are here, full-blown legal citizens, who will get snatched up. They'll have to go through the system of their whole of them having to prove that they're a legitimate citizen. But now you got a whole lot of people who have fraudulent papers. So think about this right here. If you get caught with some fraudulent papers, but your child is supposed to be a U.S. citizen, well, if your papers are fraudulent, we can question you. I don't care if they were born here or not. You know what I'm saying? Everything is fraudulent. I don't know that. We don't know that. You guys don't understand. Like, man, if you've never gone to court and you've never dealt with how autonomous these motherfuckers can be, you have no idea what the fuck is about to happen to these people when it comes, man. It's about to be vicious. Anyway, I just thought I'd share this with y'all. You know, because I'm trying to tell you. Boy, that shit right there made a nigga say, whoa. And the one I had read earlier was way more vicious. It was like way more going down. It was like it was talking about like people who were really like all beat up about it, super duper sad about it, blah 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 blah. But what's up, bro? What's up, family? Yeah, man. I'm in here, man, because this is really a player one, bro. This is really some gangster shit. Because I was thinking about this the other day, man. I was like, where do most people mess up at? And I'm like, it's because they rush everything. They don't have any patience. Their anticipation is so high that it makes them anxious, in a sense. You know, if you learn to tolerate the situation that you're in, then what will eventually happen is that, you know, you'll realize that I can wait this out. I don't have to, there's no rush to do any of this. You know? I think one of the biggest issues that a lot of people are going through right now is like their ability to be patient. And I'm trying to tell you, this one right here is a quick one, but it's beautiful because it's meant to get to the point that I'm getting at. This administration has done exactly what this brother was talking about. And it's just being able to look at everything in the big picture. It's not just this administration. It's more than just this administration. Okay. It's all the different little entities that are in the administration that are all cooperating together that are making, you know, this is a massive logistical effort, like a super massive logistical effort. So I would assume that some of the information that they have is from people who are documented citizens who have given up some of their violent or criminal cousins and brothers and sisters and aunties and fathers and mothers. You get what I'm talking about? But the concept of making sure that you have it right, so that way when you commit to the action of whatever the cut action is, whatever that the actual, whether it's pinning something down, but we can use cut because there's multiple things that you can cut. You can cut through metal, you can cut through wood, cut through brick, multiple things you can cut. So you can use the term measurement and cutting in so many different avenues that it's understood that you should be precise in your effort. It shouldn't be something that you're off about. And you just have a major fall off with people where I'm not going to accuse anyone once again, of being in such a rush that things have to happen right then and there. But the impatience that a lot of people suffer from is normally what does them in. Uh, like with this case right here, with these immigrants, right? People have to realize the U.S. government could have did some shit where they all went half cocked in the raids the first time through, maybe met more resistance than they thought they were anticipating to, because the people that they're gonna get, I'm telling you, they're either gonna get the most dangerous people first or very last. That's it. That's all. They're not gonna get them in between getting the peaceable people, because you don't want anybody. Once again, unless you're trying to create a narrative or the idea that they're all dangerous, then you go after them first. You get me? But if you don't want to go through the funk of people who are on your side potentially getting laid the fuck out, then you go after them last. And it's just a matter of who's really in charge, where the heart of the people is at, who have to actually go out and do the operation. Uh, Morale is a huge thing, obviously, but when you just speak on the measurement part of it, right? See, the measurement for this is knowing exactly where some of these people are, knowing some of their hideouts, knowing some of their friends who are not immigrants, who are in no way, shape, and form, from south of the border, or people who come from over the sea or anything like that. You know what I'm talking about? This is somebody who was born here, of a different cultural background, all these different things. And I'm not saying that those people are giving them up, but those people may be being watched. And if their movements bring you ultimately to this person, then they use somebody that you care about against you. Um, there's so many different ways that the measurement concept can really be weighed out and shown to people, which is why I really felt it was so important to bring it forth. Because when you do measure twice, you give yourself the ability to see any improper calibrations you thought that you had implemented the first time. Now you're getting to see that, oh, I thought that by offsetting or by trying to compensate at this degree, at this angle, whatever, that I was going to do this. No, actually, I was going to ruin my project. I was going to cut a piece off that I didn't want to cut off. So hold on, let me do my remeasurement. I'm able to see that, okay, so let me recalibrate my first calibration. Okay, now I seem proper. And I'm confident because I was confident that first time, but I'm even more confident this time because now everything is right. It's properly aligned, covered and aligned, as they would say in the military. Bam. And it's a clean cut. Now, do I expect for my cut to have a level of human error where the dilapidation to the very, very well trained eye may be visible or may be noticeable to the degree that it could be done better, or they think that they could do it better? Sure. Um, Everybody's has their own opinion. However, though, when you initiate into the cut, if you don't take the time to properly make sure that your measurement is for sure 100% what you want it to be, there can be no deviation or striation in this plan. So let's say if you're cutting bricks, right? I'll give you a prime example. A guy says, hey man, I need you to cut me 10 corners, okay? Because I want to build up this side of this chimney or whatever. And he says, I need you to cut all the bricks in half, right? The first time. And then I need you to cut off, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch bars. And I need you to make 10 of those for me. And they need to be perfect. So you cut your first brick in half. You do your first cuts. You're like, okay, this one brick is good for 3 of them or 4 of them, depending on the size of the brick, right? But it might be good for 5 of them. This one brick actually might do all 10 of them. You see what I'm saying? It's just a matter of knowing that this is the exact measurement that I need. Okay, so if I need 3/4 of an inch, if I need 1/8 of an inch, if I need half an inch, if I need a full inch, whatever the measurement is has to be precise. So that way, before I initiate in this action, I know for a fact that precision is going to be delivered on my end because I've given myself the reassurance of checking my work. See, this is this is a major thing. People can't understand. Their minds are mush. They can't help themselves. I really do attempt to give people the best parts of me. Uh, when I'm saying things like this, I'm sure I can't really say anything much more helpful. It can't be any more wise or any more whatever maven or sage like, pundit like. It doesn't get any better from me. Um, I think people like other things better, but as far as how I feel about myself, this is the best of what I actually truly have to say to people, because there's nothing negative about this. Um, I haven't I haven't I haven't been negative to the people who are being targeted. Realistically, no one goes out of their way to create groups that go after cops that are corrupt, where these police officers are heavily monitored on their jobs. Where yeah, somebody and then there's no groups that go after people who've been accused of false crimes, right on, and making sure that those people who've been put away for false crimes and false accusations, that their accusers and those who have caused for them to be falsely jailed, right, that there's an exaction of justice upon those parties. It can't just be one-sided. And this is why I speak to these types of things. you know I was talking to Andre, and that's my bro, and we were chopping it up, and I was saying like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna do this one because I know it's important. I got some Bible stuff that I'm gonna do tomorrow, but right now this is really important because everybody everybody thinks that they know something, but I have another piece that I have yet to be able to fully get all the way out. But it supplements what I did the other day talking about Trouble in Paradise, where all those places in the South are horrible. And so as far as like the toxic waste and all this stuff is concerned, this thing had the top 10 worst places to live in the US. And startingly, most of these places are in the South, in the Midwest, but a lot of them are located in areas that they adopt this. What are the chances that places where you dump toxic waste and human waste at, right, are some of the worst places to also live? I mean, like these states, it, it's amazing. However, um, um, these cities, whatever, still the worst cities, and only a few of these, once again, only a few of these cities, but all these cities, I mean, even when you think about Arizona as a state that's highly radiated, all the testing they've done out there, I mean, it's just, when you look at the locations of all these places, right, it really explains itself. It's not a secret and it's not a mystery, but it's like, I'm only one person. I can only do the work. Uh, I don't expect anyone to listen to me. You know what I'm saying? I expect to be ignored, but I do it so that way there's no excuse. A person can't say that somebody never said it. You know, these raids are gonna happen. Like I told you guys, they're gonna build the wall. They're building the wall right now. If you don't think that they've been doing as much dirty, wicked, conniving nonsense, what do you think Trump did? He's still measuring, because if you think about it, the little bit of money that he got the first time, and then the little bit of chunk that he got the second time, he's well over half the money that he wanted for the border wall in the first place. Federal judge can try to block him. You think the president's really going to listen? I want y'all really to understand this. You don't have a dude who's following the rules. There are no rules to him. In case anybody's missed that part about the guy, there are no rules to him. So measure twice, cut once is totally applicable to this man's mentality, because he has to make sure in his mind that he's right. Now they call him stupid and this, that, and the other. Like I said, he's a racist ass dude. There's no getting around that. But him being racist doesn't stop the fact that he has a mind that functions and works like all the other people who are racist just like him before him, and who are going to be here after him. Uh, And dudes not, once again, anybody who will cut ties with people that are supposed to be an affiliate party of them, like it's supposed to be an affiliate in the same party as them, it tells you that they clearly do a lot of measuring. They measure a lot of stuff out, because you don't do that. You don't burn bridges down. You don't cut those kind of ties unless you're sure, unless you're positive. You follow what I'm talking about? So you always need to be sure, ultimately, is what I'm trying to get at right now. And I know it doesn't sound like it's really that important, but it's so important that the immigrant community feels like they need to be sure that people know what their rights are. It's working both ways. They're hoping that they can catch these dudes doing something that they're not supposed to do, blow that shit up, it goes viral, and then these raids are canceled. That's the plan. That's the idea. So the reason why they had to cancel the raids is because they had to calm down all the gung ho. I want to go in here and bust the immigrant with with my elbow in his face, forearm to his face type shit. They had to calm all that down. They said, no, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to train dudes to go in here and get people peacefully. Anybody that resists or shows any form of resistance, then the appropriate and proper use of force shall be, rendered, or, what I'm saying, be put up for consideration in that time. But until thus, no action shall be taken against any of these people unless they present a clear and present danger to you. I'm sure this is what these last couple of weeks have been about. I'm positive. You have to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Once again, I can't have a guy who's gung-ho going in there and then fucking up the whole raid. Because what if you get 100,000 people in and you was only supposed to get 20 or 30,000 people, but now you're 100,000 people snatched up? Right. Do you know how many thousands of people can get grabbed in a day? Where are you gonna go? If you all hole up in one dude's house, all 50 of this guy's undocumented immigrant family, and they all hold up in one spot, all 50 of you are going at one time. Bam, that's a hell of a hit. If you try to shoot it out, once again, now you're gonna cause for the immediate repercussions for the immigrant community will be so vast and so devastating. Right on. I'm trying to tell you, really, whoever worked this all out, from the highest levels of logistics to the lowest level of logistics, they really worked out a genius level plan, because this works out no matter what. When this shit jumps off, it's not an if, when it jumps off. How it's going to work is there's going to be a number of these people who are so-called undocumented immigrants, illegal aliens, as we knew them when I was growing up, who are going to resist arrest, maybe just by running. But they want these dudes to try to get violent. If you think a place like Baltimore and Chicago, even some of these little small pockets of conclaves of tough guys in places like Seattle, San Francisco, believe it or not, has hitters out there. Don't think that people are just going to take this shit laying down. That's pretty much what I'm getting at. Like, everybody is not going to take this shit laying down. Some of these cats are far too invested into the American fabric. Right on. They've paid taxes as long as they've been here. They're like, fuck you mean? What you talking about? Taxpayer. You know what I'm talking about? They're like, every time I go to the store, grocery shop, and I pay taxes. Every time I buy something, I pay taxes. Right. Every single one of my paychecks, unless they was able to work under the table and get cash money. And then even then, I don't knock them for getting paid like that, because, like I said, you're going to get taxed no matter what. You follow what I mean? So now he doesn't get an income tax because he doesn't get his check tax. So it works both ways. Now he's not on paper. He doesn't get a 401k. He doesn't have a medical plan, a dental. He doesn't have any of that. Everything is out of pocket for him. So when you say, these guys aren't taxpayers, it's like, well, when they give up so much, when you give up so much in that realm, really, you have to foot the bill everywhere else. So it's not like you escape the responsibility of having to pay for something. You get what I'm saying? Now, there's people who come in here who beat the system down. I know that. But I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about cats who've been here, been working here, started businesses. Once again, their children have taken on their businesses. Their children are working in their businesses, and they're like, I can't let my mom or my dad or whoever or my uncle or my auntie get snatched up by ICE. They got to come stay with me. But all these people's addresses, all this shit is logged, man. All that stuff is all they have dossiers on all these folks, man. I'm trying to tell y'all. This is why social media is so dangerous. This is why all this shit is so dangerous, because now they're going back on people's social media profiles, undocumented or documented, looking for. Look, they're going to draw so many different lines. They're going to create. They've probably created a million different matrices in their supercomputers that they have all over the U.S. In these little databases, and I'm telling you, these matrices have connected from the 6 degree separation, highest level person that they're separated from themselves to from wherever they're at in the matrix to the highest person to the lowest person. It has every single connection that they could possibly be linked with. And I know it's hard to imagine, but it's almost like chemical bonds. That's how a matrix would look, but it would look very complicated because there would be many strands and many nucleotides. Anyway, let me stop. Okay, there would just be a lot of stuff going on. The point is this: they have to take their time to get it right. You can't rush something like this just to do it wrong. Obamacare is a prime example of something that was rushed and it was done wrong. It's a prime example of that, where Obama really hadn't done shit for anybody since he had been in office, and he figured he was gonna, push for this, to hopefully make something happen. But Obamacare makes it, like it's hard on young people than it is on anyone else. You know what I'm saying? But anytime you have to pay into an insurance premium, or they want to charge you for not having insurance, it's kind of ridiculous if you take care of yourself and you're pretty healthy. And I understand that things happen to people, but more times than not, when something unfortunate happens, there's a level of complicity that a person plays in their own destruction. Whether that be by choosing to be in a poor venue, or by making poor choices in a poor venue, whatever the combination of all the different things are, right? But that's how they end up. So even then, I still can't put that all there. And what I'm just trying to say is that when people don't take the time to really, once again, to recalibrate their first calibration, it could be catastrophic. All right. Obamacare has ruined people. It's ruined so many young people. Ruined them. It's helped a lot of older people, but it's ruined a lot of young people. And it's like, that's how I know that these people really don't care about nobody, or that's how I know that Obama didn't care about anybody. You see what I'm saying? Like, healthcare is a huge issue. Healthcare is way bigger than immigration. If you fix the healthcare system right now, which is not meant to be fixed, I don't believe that. I believe that prophecies are etched in stone, and they are what they are. And the times that we're seeing are no different than prophecies of the prophets of old who prophesied and said. However, I just don't see Trump making a big mistake on something like this is going to affect whether or not he's able to get reelected. Now, once again, this is the weekly update of 2019. Who knows if we're going to get out this year or not? Who knows? I still think we are. We're 7 months and 12 days into this year. And as tumultuous as it's been, there hasn't been like that hold your breath moment that I feel like is warranted in a year where the end is supposed to come, or the end of the tribulation for the black man is supposed to be here. The black man, woman, and child. I just don't see the changing of the atmosphere. I don't feel the magic, so to speak. So forgive me if I seem harsh, like a bitter potato. But the point that I'm making is this. people sometimes want things so badly that they will attempt to do things that will bring about a course or set of events that are unnatural to the setting that they're in. Case in point, it'll do me no good, it'll do you no good to run around with a bullhorn yelling at people, telling them that they're heathens and that they're the devil and that they're this or that. It'll do you no good. It'll profit you nothing. At, at best, you'll raise your blood pressure. At worst, you could find yourself in a serious confrontation that could be life or death. Those guys aren't measuring at all. They're just cut. See what I'm saying? And that's the difference between somebody who measured once and cut, somebody who measured twice and cut, and somebody who didn't measure at all and cut. You can tell. Are there skilled artisans who can say, oh, I don't need to measure? Sure, I hear you. But the Most High God says to Job, who stretched out the boundaries, did all the measurements to him, but the Most High God when he was creating everything. So it's like, to measure it is to know it. You see what I'm saying? There is no mystery once a measurement has been done. The numbers normally, I mean, whatever the tool of measurement is, as long as you understand it, the numbers don't lie, or the measurement won't lie based on the way that it's supposed to be applied. But with Obama, you had a lot of stuff that he did that was different. Once again, with a lot of the school things that you could argue he measured once, right on, and then he got to cutting. Because the one saving grace you can say about a lot of the student loan debt is that there was a lot of people who were able to get Pell Grants, money that hopefully they never have to pay back. But the way things are looking, who knows what this administration or any other administration might see fit to pull. It's really sort of an unfortunate thing. And as I get ready to close out here in the next 10 minutes, because I've been going on and on about this, and I really feel like I've touched it I think I've touched it very good. One of the biggest things that you have to keep in mind that Obama did that was really actually trifling. He's talking one time, and he's talking about Leviticus, and he's talking about stoning your children, right? You know, if they do something wrong. And he pretty much questions the Most High. And I say to myself, if this is supposed to be a man who believes, what's up, little bro? If this is supposed to be a man who believes, then why is this man speaking so outside of his esophagus about what is righteousness? Because if you don't think the Most High didn't measure what he was saying more than twice, a few times, then you're out your mind. Because that's one of those things that I know is prevalent, and most people just can't stand to hear it. You know, they don't want to hear it. It's a true thing, though. Everything that the Most High gave to the people is measured to some degree. You know, and I don't know if folks want to hear it like that, but that's why the night and day were created, and the sun and the moon weren't created until afterwards. Right on? Still measure. Okay, boom, cut. I need a sun and I need a moon. I need one to regulate the day, one to regulate the night. So it's not too bright during the day and it's not too dark at night. Just throwing that out there. See, it's really hard to give people what it is that I understand in my mind, but I do my best to relay everything that I think I do understand. Tomorrow, as I close out, I'm gonna give you guys a sneak preview of what it is that you're about to be in for. So we start the scripture. We go to the book of the Genesis, and we go to Genesis chapter 5. Okay. And the reason why we go to Genesis chapter 5 is because we have to identify first who this woman is, who's with Adam, Because when we go to the book of Enoch, and we go all the way back to chapter 89. No, I lie. Chapter 85. And I go and I read something like, and I'll just jump right to it. Verse 3, before I took thy mother Edna, I saw in a vision on my bed, and behold, a bull came forth from the earth, and that bull was white. And after it came forth a heifer. And along with this came forth two bulls, one of them black and the other red. And that black bull gored the red one and pursued him over the earth. And thereupon I could no longer see that red bull. Stop right there. So now we're going to go back and we're going to read a few things. And the first thing that we're going to see is this is the genealogy of man. This is Genesis chapter 5, verse 1. In the day which God made Adam, in the image of God he made him. Male and female he made them and blessed them. And he called his name or their name Adam in the day in which he made them. Now stop right there. Interesting as that sounds, because we're going to go back just one chapter, right? Or two chapters. And we're going to read chapter 3, verse 1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife. That's weird. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and brought forth Cain and said, I have gained a man through God. And she again bore his brother, Abel. Stop right there. Let's go back again. Let's just keep reading in Genesis chapter 5 going on. So it says, and Adam lived 230 years and begot a son after his own form and after his own image and called his name Seth. Weird. Because I could have sworn it says right here, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and brought forth Cain. And then it speaks on his brother Abel. Now, the reason why I go to this is because I need you guys to understand is that it skips 230 years of Adam's life and goes right to Seth. But it does not distinguish that the woman that is created with him, who's called in chapter 3 Eve, as Eve, that woman is called Adam. Both their names are Adam. Now, what I need you guys to really understand is that Adam and Eve's real name, you could argue, are Ish and Isha. Now, that's not as important as what was Lilith's real name or what is, because I don't know, that's not her real name. That's a name that these wicked demons have given her, or a name that she's taken. That's her demon name, but that's not the name that she was given initially. It's weird. It's like, y'all have to understand that the white bull that came forth out of the earth is Adam. Okay. And after it came forth the heifer, stop right here. Stop right here. Stop right here. I know it's going to sound crazy. I know it's going to sound crazy. But the heifer is the heifer. You can say is Eve, but I could argue is also one who was first created with Adam in chapter 5. There's no way of knowing that. There's no way of dictating that. Who knows? Like I told you, this is a sneak preview before I cut it all short, because I'm about to this right here I've been working on for a long time. All right. It's not as easy as it looks to distinguish this, but this is what's going on. So we have just in the very first part, you have several different parts of the scripture in the book of the Genesis that are in support that Adam was created at a specific time. Now, what's more important is that where does it say that this bull came from? And behold, the bull came forth from the earth. So I know this is Adam because the Most High did what? Create Adam from the earth. Now, what's more important is we know that Eve is a clone. Can you dig it? So that means that the genetic constitution of one Cain and or Abel, both of them, will be the same as one Adam. So their constitution of coming from the dirt and representation, or in a symbolic sense, but in a very literal sense because they come from Adam, is dignified. However, now we have to worry about who's the black, who's the Red Bull. I distinguished this before, but let's just read it and let's just see if this makes sense. And Cain said to his brother, "Let us go into the plain." And it came to pass that when they were in the plain, Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. So, and it says, and after it came forth a heifer, and along with this came forth two bulls, one of them black and the other red. And that black bull gored the red one and pursued him over the earth. And thereupon I could no longer see that red bull, but that black bull grew, and that heifer went with him. Now stop right there. That's why it gets obviously, unquestionably, dicey, right? Because it's saying that the same black heifer that came up out of the ground that is symbolically Eve goes with this black bull. Now, why this is so important is because as we continue to read, and I saw many oxen proceed from him, which resembled and followed him. Now, it doesn't say that that black heifer who followed this black bull went on to have children with the bull, who are called oxen. Okay? Now, I could also argue that this black bull is symbolically also the first people. And the blood shed is like the blood that's going to be shed when the giants come onto the earth because they're tainted in genetic. But we'll get into that later and you'll see why I explain that. Well, we won't get into that today. We'll get into that tomorrow. But we're gonna just approach it, and then I'm gonna leave you on the cliff to find out where all this is going. So right now, we can establish just through basic scripture. If I were to go back and read Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2 real quickly, I want you to understand something now. In Genesis chapter 2, it says just like this. Verse 4, this is the book of the generation of the heaven and the earth when they were made, in the day which the Lord God made the heaven and the earth. Stop right there. This is a clear indication that heaven and the earth are created. Okay, the herb of the field is already there. And every herb of the field before it was on the earth, and all the grass of the field before it sprang up, for God had not rained on the earth. There we go. The herbs of the field and the grass of the field, or the herb of the grass, all that different stuff, don't come until the Most High God reigns. Now, what's most important is that the fruit is the first thing that is created. Fruit is the initial and a primary source of all nutrition for all things living on the planet. How we know this is because it says right here in verse 29, chapter 1, and God said, behold, I have given to you every seed-bearing herb sowing seed, which is upon all the earth, and every tree which has in itself the fruit that is sown. Now, seed-bearing herb sowing seed and the herb of the field and the grass of the field are not the same. Now, the reason why I can say this is because a banana is not technically a fruit. It's like some type of berry or something like that. There's a lot of different things that aren't like rhubarb It's called a fruit, but really rhubarb is probably a herb. Um, there's a bunch of different ones like that. And avocado is realistically a fruit based on how we classify fruits. But I'm not going to go into all that right now, but I just wanted to distinguish that. Let's just go here real quick and read how this man comes from the earth. And it says just like this. But there rose a fountain out of the earth, verse 6 of chapter 2, and watered the whole face of the earth. And God formed the man of the dust of the earth and breathed upon his face the breath of life. And the man became a living soul. Now, where's this woman at? Because the woman that you read about in Genesis chapter 5, all right, she doesn't, Eve is not her, because Eve doesn't come until Genesis chapter 2, verse, is it 21? Yep. And God brought a trance upon Adam, and he slept, and took one of his ribs, and filled up the flesh instead thereof, cloning. And God formed from the rib which he took from Adam into a woman, and brought her to Adam. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. He called her a fucking clone right to your face, and you didn't even appreciate it. But let me just keep it pushing. She should be called woman because she was taken out of her husband. Therefore, shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave to his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. Now stop right there. This is not the same chick from Genesis chapter 5, who it says just like this. This is the genealogy of men in the day which God made Adam. In the image of God he made him. Male and female he made them. That's a complete copy-paste statement of Genesis is it 26? Let us make man according to our image. Yeah, chapter 1, verse 26. Yeah. And God said, let us make man according to our likeness. According to our image and likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea. Skip through. Verse 27. And God made man according to the image of God. He made him. Male and female. He made them. It's the same exact thing. Copy pasted. But why would it not call this dude Adam? Why would it not tell you that it was? Listen, the correlation of events, every animal is created before these people are created. Adam is made before all the other animals. All right. Now, going back to the book of Enoch real quick, before I really do get up out of here. We got 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then I just got to just cut it short. And I'm going to jump ahead and I'm going to read something to you. And you need to appreciate this. So we're going to jump ahead. No. We're going to cover that there was oxen who came from this first bull. Okay? And that cow, that first one, went from the presence of that first bull in order to seek that red one, but found him not. Now stop right there. So this is a cow. Now it's called a cow, not a heifer anymore, right? But if you understand, it says right here in verse 5, but that black bull grew and that heifer went with him. And I saw many oxen proceed from him. Now, unless it's dictating that the heifer and the cow are different characters, can you dig it? See, because in this dream vision that Enoch has, I'm going to give you guys a little FYI. Enoch does not account for the wife of Abraham named Keturah, who he marries after Sarah dies. And that genealogy is not mentioned, nor the species of animal, or the genera, I should say, That's not given any recognition. Why that is so important is because the Assyrians, the Babylonians, and the Chaldeans, but the Assyrians mainly, attack the Israelites later on. And if you read this prophecy, they're either I want to say that they're the lions, not the tigers. And if they are the lions, then it would have been explained that from the bull came forth lions, this, that. Anyway, I can't even go all the way on to it because we're going to jump all into the different bloodlines and all the different people who were born and Ishmael's bloodline again. And I'm going to do it. And I'm going to read how he's a wild man. And I'm going to read how this bull begat a wild ass. Just throw it out there. However, my people, Demetrius is going to do exactly what he said he's doing right now. He's going to give this up because the importance, like I said earlier, with this, the entire property of this entire thing is always sure we don't do anything half-cocked. Court went, okay, it'll get better as it goes further and it goes longer. It's just aggravating. Pray for me. Pray for the destruction of our enemies as I pray for you. Brothers and sisters, as I get ready to say goodnight, as always, it's an honor and a blessing to be in your presence. Salute you. I say good night.